Hi. And okay, we're live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be. My name is Scott, and with me, not only do we have Trina Paulus as we normally do, who else do we have with us today, Trina?
I'm yellow and I'm striped. And we say hello to you in this Advent, getting ready for whatever this holiday season means. And so we just wanted to say hello and introduce this today. Okay. We got this idea because a lady in the post office the other day just laughed and laughed and laughed when Trina came in with these mittens. And she just loved these things. And I got stopped on the street. We get stopped on the street and admired. So it's these simple little things with our sequins and our celebration. But really, we want to talk today about Advent. Advent is that amazing thing that people think of as maybe the 4 weeks before Christmas, before the light. Or the light is the darkest. It's the darkest time of the year, and then in Christmas it was chosen because the light will come. But I think we want to talk today about what that means a bit, what it can mean in our lives. Because most people are so busy shopping and wrapping packages and doing all that stuff, they don't have time to think about the real meaning, which is the dark time of the year, getting ready for the coming of light. And then Christmas was chosen. We don't know when Jesus was born. Christmas was chosen as the beginning of light coming back to the world again in a northern climate. Now, it's not the same in the southern climate. So we have the chance here in our culture to experience it the way it was designed. And just a few of things. But we want to talk about silence and waiting for the not yet that comes. So, Yellow, I want to ask you a question. How did you have the courage when I wanted to get back on that pillar after we were smart enough to get down in the first place? I couldn't bear the fact that I didn't know what the top was. So I insisted on going back. How did you wait? I know you love me and you wanted to be with me, and I wanted you to come with me so badly, but you knew not to wait. Stripe, I think it may be time to go back to the book and read that part because nobody ever features that section of it. But it seems to me during this dark season that we should focus just on that. So here I am. We're going to read this part of it together. And we're assuming that most of the people watching this will know something about our story and Hope for the Flowers. And, and just to give you a feel, is that when we finished our eating as caterpillars, we were crawling up to find out what you should do, and we found this caterpillar pillar, and we got on. Both of us did, because most people do get on their pillars, get on pillars. We all have our pillars. So I thought you'd like to see this picture of what it was like on that pillar, which made us decide finally to get off. Here we are. After Stripe steps on my head, we decided to go down. So we went down. And then we played around down on the ground again and sort of had a good time for a while. So the next thing that happened, let me get that page. Well, we hugged each other. We hugged each other and got to know each other pretty well. We couldn't have babies because we were just still caterpillars, but we didn't know about all that at that point. So here we are, hugging each other. And the book says, and we knew the hair, each hair that each of us had. So finally, Stripe was very restless with this life. Yellow saw how restless he was and tried to make him extra happy and comfortable. Just think how much better this is than that awful mess we left, she said. But we don't know what's at the top. Maybe we were wrong to come down. Maybe now that we're rested, the two of us could make it to the top. Uh-oh. You can see what's likely to happen here. Dear Stripe, please, she begged. We have a nice home and we love each other, and that's enough. It's so much more than all those lonely climbers have. She was so sure. Stripe let her convince him. But only for a while. Stripe's hankering for the climbing life worsened. The pillar haunted him. He crawled there regularly, looking up and wondering. But the top remained clouded. You see the little guy, or maybe I covered him up before. That pillar is an awful thing, and we each have one. We have to get off of over and over again because we're not caterpillars and butterflies, for which it only happens once. We have choices every day. Look what happens. One day at the pillar, 3 thuds startled Stripe. 3 big caterpillars had fallen from someplace and smashed. 2 seemed dead, but 1 still wiggled. Stripe whispered, "What happened? Can I help?" He made out just a few words. "The top. They'll see. Butterflies alone." The caterpillar died. Stripe crawled home and told Yellow. They were both very sober and quiet. What did the mysterious message mean? Had the caterpillars fallen from the very top? Finally, Stripe announced, "I've got to know. I must go and find out the secret of the top." And more gently, "Will you come and help me?" Yellow struggled inside. She loved Stripe and wanted to be with him. She wanted to help him succeed. But she just couldn't believe that the top was worth all it asks to get there. She wanted to get up too. The crawling life wasn't enough for her either. She also had to admit that it looked like the pile was the only way to do it. Stripe seemed so sure that Yellow felt ashamed not to agree. She also felt stupid, ashamed, and embarrassed, since she could never put her reasons into words that his kind of logic would accept. Yet somehow, waiting and not being sure was better than action she couldn't agree with. So there she is crying. She couldn't explain. She couldn't prove anything. But for all her love, she couldn't go with Stripe. She just knew climbing was the wrong way to get high. "No," she said, heartsick. And Stripe left her for his climb. Yellow was desolate without Stripe. And by the way, when I read this to kids, they often, little kids, like kindergarten and younger, they cry at this point. They can't bear that Stripe has left her. And she's so sad. She crawled daily to the pile, looking for him, and returned home at night sad, but half relieved that she never saw him. If she had, she feared she might plunge after him, knowing that she shouldn't. She felt like doing something, anything, rather than uncertain waiting. What in the world do I really want? She sighed. It seems different every few minutes, but I know there must be more. Finally, she became numb and wandered away from everything familiar. One day, a gray-haired caterpillar, hanging upside down on a branch, surprised her. He seemed caught in some hairy stuff. You seem in trouble, Yellow said. Can I help? No, my dear, I have to do this to become a butterfly. Her whole insides leapt. Butterfly, that word, she thought. Tell me, sir, what is a butterfly? It's what you are meant to become. It flies with beautiful wings and joins the earth to heaven. It drinks only nectar from the flowers and carries the seeds of love from one flower to another. And so it goes on, and Yellow is so afraid, and she doesn't see how she could ever see Stripe again if she did this, and how often to get awful to get stuck in a cocoon. And then, of course, she decides to risk for a butterfly. And her risks makes all the difference. First of all, she can go up with Stripes about at the top of the pillar, and he can see her. They can't talk to each other because she's now a butterfly. But there's something about her that Stripe feels is like Yellow, the eyes with a look of yellow. And so he gets the point somehow, and he knows he has to turn around. And when he turns around, he sees all these caterpillars are beautiful and different. They're not just steps for him to step on, but they're beautiful and they're different shapes. And so he comes down, and they say to him, "Oh, it's sour grapes. You never made it to the top. You don't know what you're doing." And he goes through his terrible dark night, and he thinks maybe he's wrong. Maybe there isn't anything. And he gives up all his faith in the beautiful vision of a butterfly inside all those caterpillars. But he finally does get down, and he crawls off to where he and Yellow had slept. And then this beautiful creature comes, and he gets the point to follow her. And she goes to where these two hanging cocoons are. She keeps putting her tail into each of them until he finally gets the point to climb up on that branch and hanging up to it. And is aware that he has to give up everything, everything, everything. Until one day, he emerges and he comes out. And they get together. And then Yellow lays her eggs. And it's the end. And I just was on the search engine and saw that someone had stopped her reading at this point, which says the end. Ah, but you can't take that for granted in this book, because it's not the end at all. It's the beginning. And look what the two of them managed to do. I think those other caterpillars started to talk to one another, and they decided Stripe was maybe right. And they all are coming down the pillar. That's the effect of Yellow's bravery and love. She certainly was a leader of love. And they came down, and then they all just made their cocoons and then gloriously turned into butterflies through the influence and strength of Yellow's saying, no, she wouldn't get back on that pillar. So when things are the darkest for us, folks, let's believe that it's possible. And I have behind me a lot of my Advent sort of statues. It's been a theme of my life, I think, this Advent business, because what they're called about to do, first of all, is to say yes to God, to be surrendered before God, and then turn around and give the message of love and God to the world. And here's my here's one of my earliest production pieces. We had a whole production line. This is not in production right now, so I don't have any of these right now, but it could be produced again. It's all castings. And then at Christmas time, if it's in the middle of an Advent wreath or on a shelf, at Christmas time, a child can come and and I don't have the brown baby, but I do have a little white one, put it in Mary's arms. And there's all the figures. There's all the 17 pieces with the wise men and all. So that's the work I did before Hope for the Flowers made me sort of well known. And so this is one of my Christmas cards that I did at that time. History, Mystery, and Majesty. History is Christmas and Epiphany and what we're celebrating in Advent. And then mystery is the coming of God into each of our own lives and saying yes to the presence of inspiration and of spirit and love, living our life of love and sharing. And then majesty, in a certain sense, the whole of creation from the beginning of time and the creation of the world until the end of time. And I just want to add a little bit here that the message of the certain type of Christianity that believes we have to have this kingdom on earth after big wars in Israel. And that's the projection in the Left Behind series, which has been so translated into many millions of books around the world in different languages, and supports the necessity of a Jewish state, not Jewish people. It's a very different thing to support the state, and that the fight will happen there. And this is not our Catholic Orthodox tradition at all. The end will come like a thief in the night, and we're meant to be ready, and we're ready by loving. That's the heart of it, by radical sharing with each other, by that kind of thing. And so, Scott, after this long-winded explanation of that aspect of Advent, there's so many things to say. And by the way, this is one of the most beautiful recent books I've seen. It's about animals and waiting. It's just so beautiful. All Creation Waits, by Gail Boss, published. You can find it, and it's available. And there's a children's edition too, but the illustrations are just gorgeous with the woodcuts. So, this is very relevant to what's going on now. It's been going a long time. This is a painting I made actually in 1958. Refugee, Mother, or Madonna. And so That's what we're up against right now. But this is the time. This is the time of struggle. This is the time of waiting. This is the time for us to do what we can and believe that we're made for this time. We are made for this time. So thank you for watching.
Thank you very much, Trina. I know Advent season is very important to you, and we'll be back again next week with more.
We can do more Advent because we have a lot of statues we can show too.
Yes, yes, we do.
Yes.
Thank you